I caught a snatch of BBC News yesterday, reporting on the day before's attack on a synagogue in Manchester, in which 2 Jewish worshippers were murdered. After all the details had been given, including the name and national origin of the killer, his name was Jihad al-Shami, a Muslim who'd been brought to the UK from Syria as a small child, the reporter, apparently oblivious to the inanity of what she was reporting, read out a police statement made immediately after the attack that, quote, specialist counter-terrorism investigators were still working to understand the motivation behind the attack. Well, around 1 million demonstrators on the Unite the Kingdom march a couple of weeks earlier in London could have told them what the motive was. We all knew what the motive would be before the attack happened. And there are 2 groups to blame: a worldwide community of devout followers of Muhammad who, according to moderate Muslims, according to progressive left liberals, have misunderstood Muhammad's teachings and taken the Quran's calls to kill or humiliate Jews out of context. The other culpable group is the pro-Palestinian progressive liberal left, whose increasingly anti-Israeli activism has led them to develop the hardest of hearts towards all Jews everywhere after the obscenely savage October the 7th attacks on southern Israel, killing 1,200 Jewish men, women and children, including babies. That this attack took place essentially just as first reported has been corroborated by numerous independent bodies, including the UN. But progressive liberals everywhere are in denial about this attack and its obvious implications. They dispute its savagery and extent because they won't allow themselves to believe that the heroic victims of their noble cause, their beloved Palestinian, quote, refugee community, could be responsible for such extensive savagery. For many, like Tommy Robinson and Douglas Murray, who've taken the time to figure out what's going on with Islam, it's very obvious why the great majority of terror attacks on the West are committed by Muslims, and why, despite having had every opportunity, the Palestinian refugee community has consistently rejected peace in Palestine since the 1920s. The fundamental problem lies in Islam itself. Its founder, Muhammad, became a ruthless warlord and a religious imperialist who brooked no opposition to the violently asserted political domination of his new religion in Arabia, and set the example for every Muslim and Muslim leader since. It's true that most Muslims just want to live a peaceful life, but they are called by their religion to constant jihad, and jihad's ultimate goal is to assert the will of Allah, whether peacefully or violently, as Muhammad understood this, worldwide. The difference between this and the example the Christian Jesus set could hardly be greater. Islam unfortunately seems to have combined the militancy of the Hebrews in biblical times with the proselytizing universalism of Christianity to form a monstrously aggressive, righteous mindset that has felt no shame in enslaving millions of Europeans and Africans and slaughtering tens of millions of Hindus, amongst others. Within 100 years of its foundation, Islam had conquered the whole of Christian North Africa and Spain and reached up into France little more than 100 miles from today's Paris. What bothers me most about the Muslims I've been acquainted with and worked with over the years is the complete absence of any sense of guilt or shame over this, something which seems to have completely escaped liberal left progressives who are overwhelmed by their guilt to the point of naive blindness and collective self-hatred. It's that guilty self-hatred that has effectively depersoned virtually all progressive liberals, who by now can strongly assert themselves only through self-negation and absolute hatred of their parent culture. These people have instituted throughout the West a culture of infantile idealism in which all of the inherent sufferings of human existence must be blamed on evil perpetrators of injustice. This is the logical end point of Marx's theory of class exploitation. Life ought to be satisfactory and fulfilling, and that it isn't must be due to the actions of evil, exploitative people. This is pure insanity, rooted in an infantilism whose refusal to grow up is sanctioned by both the Hamas Islamism that Gazans voted for soon after Israel allowed them self-governance in 2005, and progressive left liberalism, which hates Jewish nationalism as a matter of principle. These two movements have become mutually supportive, with the progressive left liberals providing Western secular justification for jihadi violence. To progressives, the worse the jihadi violence is, the more evil Jews and their Western supporters must be to deserve it. That Israel's war of self-defense against Hamas-governed Gaza may be necessary is out of the question. Only genocidal Jewish hatred of Palestinians since modern Israel's illegitimate foundation can explain and justify October the 7th, and so that's what progressives believe. Its twistedness is nothing short of mental illness, yet it afflicts probably half of our Western electorates and saturates our mainstream media, who report on claims of Israel committing genocide in Gaza as if they were legitimate, respectable, and to be taken seriously. How can it be any surprise then that with violent Islamic political beliefs never being seriously challenged because of fear of being Islamophobic, while Israel is held up as a perpetrator of genocide, a constant stream of Jew haters are coming forward sincerely believing it's their religious duty to kill Jews?